Welcome, friends. We're back talking Frasier Season 2 of the revival, and as you can tell, we're looking at variety here, so right off the bat, kudos to them for calling it a revival and not a reboot like every other outlet in the world. And as you can also probably tell, we have confirmation that Dan Butler and Edward Hibbert are going to guest in the second season of this show. So coming down here, it's going to give us a little bit more of the history of them. Obviously, Dan Butler played Bulldog.
I'm supposed to be the only sex symbol around here. Wait, look at this, look at it. Come on.
And Edward Hibbert played Gil Chesterton.
Well, look who's up.
In the original show, not going to go through what they've been doing since, but we do have a quote from the man himself. Dan Butler and Edward Hibbert have made an indelible contribution to television, and I am overjoyed to welcome them back to Frasier. And for the opportunity to work together once again. That was not a Kelsey Grammer impression. I'm not entirely certain what it was, but I figured I needed to read it in some sort of voice. Coming down here, a few other things that we're going to learn about the upcoming season. Some of them I've done videos on. Obviously, the big one is Perry Gilpin returning as Roz in a more substantial manner than in Season 1, but there are also a couple of other characters that will be joining the show. Now, they're midway through production on Season 2 right now, and the show obviously stars all the same people from Season 1. We have Freddie, we have Alan, we have Olivia, we have Eve, we have David, all of those characters, they will be returning in the next season. But added to those, we now have Bulldog, Gil, Roz, and some other returning and brand new characters. So we have Amy Sedaris, who's going to pop up as Dr. Doc Stathos, who is a municipal therapist with a down-home, scattered veneer, who works with the firefighters at Freddy's Firehouse. That is really hard to say. And is also a big fan of Frasier Crane from his old TV talk show. That's an interesting choice, and one I'm not necessarily upset with. But we also get a couple other sitcom staples and legendary actors, those being Patricia Heaton, who is going to play Holly, and we also have Yvette Nicole Brown, who I know mostly from Community, who is signing on to play Olivia's sister, Monica. Now, I have to imagine this is the same sister from Season 1 who had this whole sibling rivalry going on. Maybe this will be a reminiscent relationship from the original Frasier and kind of mirror and mimic the Frasier and Niles relationship. Not entirely certain. That was kind of played up when there was mention of it in Season 1, so I have to imagine that might be the sort of dynamic they're going for. But adding all of these characters is kind of feeling a bit crowded. Also, this is one I didn't mention, but we are now going to get Alice, Roz's daughter, as played by Kelsey Grammer's actual real-life daughter, Greer. I don't hate that. In fact, when they were talking about this being a school-related, college-age type of show, I thought Alice would be a pretty decent choice, a way to kind of bring in that legacy feeling without directly referencing or bringing in the legacy actors. Now, we do know we're getting Roz, so it will be nice to actually get some mention of who and what Alice is. That was very played down and minimally addressed at all in the Season 1 finale where Roz came back. So it will be nice to get a little bit of news on what's happening in her life, what's happening with Alice, and to just get some more storylines revolving those characters. The part that's kind of leaving me feeling a little bit uneasy, and I don't necessarily think that the season's going to suck overall, but they're bringing back so many characters. Well, bringing back, but also introducing new ones, that it's starting to feel pretty full. And one of the things I was a bit worried about in Season 1 is by bringing in all of these legacy Frasier characters down the line, you're kind of going to be overshadowing the new run of characters. Now, some of them were better than others. In my opinion, I think Alan and Freddie were the strongest links in the first season, with David probably being the weakest and taking the longest to really kind of wrap around who his character was in relation to everybody else, but that's not to say none of these characters have merit, and I'm definitely hoping by introducing all of these characters with ties and connections to the original Frasier, we're not going to overshadow and kind of try to subtly replace the characters who are being established in this show as its own thing. Now, that's not to say these are the biggest heavy hitters from the original Frasier. Sure, Roz is, but Bulldog and Gil, to an even bigger extent, weren't really the A tier of that show. They were some pretty strong, I guess you could say, recurring characters, and they didn't really hold up their own episodes all that much. So to have them here isn't like bringing back Niles and Daphne and Martin, rest in peace, not that he can come back right now, or even, let's say, Eddie, who probably had more main storylines in that show than even Gil did. So I don't think they will necessarily overshadow all of the newer characters. Add some more of that fun characterization that we were missing a little bit in season 1, because some of the chemistry didn't seem to be hitting on all cylinders. As I mentioned, I think Alan and Frasier were definitely the key dynamic to that first season, as well as Frasier and Freddie, and hopefully we'll start getting some very classic episodes that really stand up to the test of time. While I did appreciate all of season 1, and some episodes were definitely better than others, at least in my opinion, we never really had a standout classic like we had in the original Frasier. So we're really building up a pretty substantial cast for a fairly shortened season, all things considered, and I'm hoping that doesn't make for a cluttered mess. I'm hoping it means we're going to get a lot more synergy and a lot more just dynamic interactions. What are your thoughts? Are you excited for this news? Are you kind of already over the new Frasier? Or have you not checked it out at all? Whatever you think, leave all your thoughts down below. Like, share, subscribe, do all those YouTube things. And until next time...
Honestly, the conclusions people make just because a man dresses well and knows how to use a pastry bag.